Okay, so first game up. So this is basically what happened this month. These are all the games we did on every single day of this month. Been one hell of a month. A lot of fun, but dude, can I shrink this a little? Yeah, this is FTL. Yeah. I love this FTL track, the Rockman track. So good. So good. Yeah, so this month we did an event called 29 Days of Roguelikes. Played a different roguelike every single day of this month. And we're going to go through all of them and just discuss how much fun it was for me, what's good about the game, what's bad about the game, why I like it, why I don't like it, stuff like that. Just like a quick rundown of the game. So, first up is the one, the only, the original Rogue. Not there. Let's do this. Alright. Oh, Tone Hag beat my speedrun time today. 2 hour. By a lot. I wonder what he did. No. I lost my record. Okay. Alright, where's day one? Day one. Okay. Pow. Alright. So this is day one. We played the original game, Rogue Classic on PC. Pretty much the same as the original, with a few minor different things and some tile sets. And yeah, it's pretty cool to come back to it. It's always fun to replay the original. How it was fun to talk about a lot about like why it was, if it was still good, what was good about it, what wasn't good about it. So the worst thing about it was kind of the lighting options. The lighting options are pretty garbage. It's a very annoying mechanic. Just you just can never use a lot of your tools because you're basically walking around blind in the dungeon. But luckily we were playing a version where you can toggle some options on and off, and we made it so dark rooms were lit up. So that made it a lot more pleasant. And it was fun to play through it. We got pretty deep, and near the end we kind of died to something that was really stupid. Teleport trap in front of a door, the final door to a room, and it just kept teleporting us, and I have no clue how we were supposed to get past that. So it had its frustrations. Actually, the video you see now, you can see that actually dark rooms are still on. And yeah, we played Rogue. It was fun to come back to it, but don't think I'd ever play it again at this point, unless for special occasions such as what we did this month. So yeah, that was Rogue. Day 2, we played Brogue. So let's go check Brogue out. Brogy. So Brogue was pretty sick. I know this game is amazing, and coming back to it is always a pleasure. It's probably the number one roguelike on my list. There's just so many good things going for this game that like every run feels very fresh. The controls are fantastic. The UI is fantastic. The dungeon generation is amazing. The way you build your character and the items you find are all very fun fun and interesting. 2 Lukes on the screen. Yeah, fuck jam. Yeah. So in the run that we did, which was pretty cool, we actually won our run, which is not that easy to do. So we had a really cool stealth build, which I never really did before, to great success, and we had some really good stuff and destroyed it. Not sure why it's loading like that. Kind of destroyed the run. It was it's quite challenging. Yeah, Brogue was super fun to play. It's always fun to come back to it. I don't know why it's having a hard time loading right now, but yeah. So I'm trying to think of what is weak about the game, and honestly, I can't think of much other than, I guess, graphics and sound. You know, it's the typical stuff. But as far as the way the game plays and all the cool stuff you can do and the controls, everything is like top notch, which is why I rated extremely high, and it was super fun to come back to. Probably a game I wouldn't mind doing a couple runs in, because there's a lot of varying ways there's like 2 or 3 different endings in a sense, and it's hyper difficult, and I've never done that one. And the run we did had some pretty cool stuff that we could have tried it. So yeah, that was Brogue. Next was One-Way Heroics. One-Way Heroics. There it is. So One-Way Heroics is kind of like it's a roguelike that has a SNES/JRPG. It kind of has a SNES JRPG feel to it, which is really cool. I like this one quite a bit. I had a lot of fun with it. The thing with this game is you kind of make your own challenges. You make the game kind of as hard as you want. You can customize it quite a bit. Very straightforward to play. Controls are really good. You can play this with a controller, and it plays quite well with the controller, which is very rare for roguelikes to play well with a controller, and this one is one of them. It was kind of hard coming back to this game. It was hard to just kind of jump into it. I feel like for me, a lot of roguelikes, sometimes it's like they're hard to come back to and get into, because this one, there's a pretty interesting little story in this game, and how it's developed is pretty unique. So when we came back to it, it was kind of like in the middle of my save file, so we just kind of did a random run. It was fun and challenging, but it's hard. It's like hard to get back into this game. It's like one of those games where you start playing and you want to keep playing, and then probably shelve it for at least a very, very long time. But definitely, this is a high recommendation for people who want to get into the traditional roguelike genre. It's one of the ones I often recommend for trying. Let's fast forward a bit to see a little actual gameplay. So yeah, the game is a pretty unique concept where it's got a lot of your traditional elements for roguelikes. It's got the top-down view, controlling one character, and there's no food. Well, no, there is a food clock on this in a sense. Like if you run out of food, your energy goes down to 0, and you're just you don't die, but like you're much less combat effective. But the real clock it's called One-Way Heroics, so you're always going in that direction. It's reverse cameras. You're always going in this direction, away from the darkness, because if you get consumed by the darkness, you're instantly dead. So often you'll get into situations where you need to push forward and you want to get a piece of loot or go into a dungeon, and the dungeons are twisty and turny, and the darkness is ever consuming, and it makes for a lot of interesting situations and decisions that you need to make as far as how to engage certain situations and monsters and stuff like that. Pretty cool one. It was fun coming back to it. Again, it was kind of hard getting back into it, but just did kind of a random run. And yeah, a lot of fun. Lots of different classes and lots of loot, lots of different ways to play. Definitely a highly recommended roguelike. Alright, what's next? Next was Cogmine. Alright. Why is the YouTube one showing that? Okay, that's fine. I have the last bottle alt tab right now. Did I play the other game Into the Breach? Okay, let's see. Just fav. Okay, so next is Cogmine. Alright. Cogmine. Cogmine is another roguelike that I rate extremely highly. It's kind of a masterpiece, this game, and it's still being developed and worked on. It's a big blurry mess right now for everyone. For me too. I don't know why the quality's so low. The quality's really low right now. I don't know why. Maybe I need to close some things. Maybe minimize this. Yeah, I'm not sure why my quality's so low. Maybe because I have too many things open. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, let's just turn the music off for now. Because it was looking kind of awful. It might be because I had my XSplit open on the... Let's see if it lags out when I have this open. Alright, yeah, so Cogmine is a game that I rate very highly, but one thing I do not like about it at all is that it streams horribly. If someone is not familiar with the game, they're just, like, assaulted by just text and whatnot. Yeah, I don't know why I'm having a hard time replaying this. Is it better now? Is it gonna lag? Yeah. Oh yeah, I was like, where am I in this video? I was like, at my brother's place. Yeah, it's playing really badly. What if I minimize this? I think that's why. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Cogmine is kind of a masterpiece. It's such a cool game. It's got awesome mechanics. Tons of different ways to play. Really interesting story, and the way the story is unveiled to you is very unique. So you're basically like this little core, a robot core, and you're attaching pieces to you, and your pieces are constantly being blown to bits, and you got to find new ones. So, yeah, you can build like a stealth. You can go stealthy, like a quick stealthy character or robot. You can go into combat, or you can try to be like a combat hacker, or lots of different gazillion different items, and each item kind of does its own sound effect too. Like the sound design in this game is like really good for a roguelike, especially. Yeah, the game is really cool, very challenging, and very deep. Lots of depth to it. Highly recommended for anyone who's an advanced roguelike player. I would never suggest this for a new player, but yeah. Coming back to it I didn't have the greatest time. Again, this is kind of another game that's hard to just kind of randomly come back to and do a run. It's very cumbersome to get into, and if you get out of it, it's hard to get back into it. But when you do get it back into it, it's super rewarding, and every run can be like very different and exciting. Can you even be a maintenance master? Sure. I don't know. What does a maintenance master do? Summon little robots? You can have allies and stuff, so yeah. The game's not without its flaws, though. For example, I don't know. I haven't played it for a while, but having friendly AI has always been annoying for me because they'll block you off, they'll step in front of you, they'll trigger traps you've already seen, stuff like that. So And the game is constantly being worked on, and tons of features always still being added. And even though it's considered early access, I've had this game forever, and it's always felt like a complete game from the get go. So don't let the early access tag fool you. Highly recommend this one for anyone but the newest of roguelike players, because it's my top 3 probably. It's a masterpiece. Really sick game. Really sick game. All right, next we have Infra Arcana. Yeah, it looks like I can't have my software open at the same time. All right, next up is Infra Arcana. Day 5. Infra Arcana, where are you? Here we go. Just make sure. Cool. All right, Infra Arcana was pretty awesome. I always liked it. I've played very little of it, and for some reason though, it would crash on me when I first started playing it. But coming back to it, it didn't. So that's fantastic. So Infra Arcana is kind of like it's kind of a spooky roguelike. The enemies are very kind of, I don't know, spooky-ish. You fight cultists and like tentacle-y things and hands that are walking around, and it's very tough, very unforgiving. You just die in like 2 seconds, so you need to be very careful. Has like a cool system where there's like instead of food, there's like an insanity system. So your insanity will be going up and up, and if it gets to 100, then your shock goes up, and if your shock goes to 100%, you'll die. Also, the spell casting is interesting. You have spirit, and spirit is another thing. If you cast a spell, it drains your own spirit. And if your spirit gets down to 0, that's another way to die. So there's like tons of different ways to die in this game. But really cool game. I really want to revisit and try to beat this one. It's very challenging, and I think, yeah, you can see I'm about to die in this video. I remember dying here, I think. Yep. There you go. Wrecked. He had like no health and we got wrecked. Yeah, really cool roguelike. Lots of really cool elements, or lots of really interesting items, different classes. Not a crazy amount of different classes, like 4 or 5. But they all seem to play quite differently. This is a free game. Highly recommend it. I really like this game, and it's a game that definitely is my high priority for coming back to visit and trying to get somewhere in it. I really like this game. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. So next up is Stone Shard. So Stone Shard is pretty interesting. Stone Shard is a brand new game. Came out during the month which we did the event. So that was good timing for the event. Let me see where I can find it here. There it is. So it was day 6. Stone Shard. Okay. Should I put the game sounds on? Probably not, because you'll hear me talk at the same time. Yeah. So yeah, Stone Shard came out this month. It's very early access. They have like 2 years of work to go on it still, so I'm not a big early access fan, but I had to have a look at this one. This is kind of the tutorial part. Let's go somewhere else. And yeah, this game's pretty cool. It's new. It has tons of promise. In its current state, it's pretty whatever. It's still fun, but it's very short. There's really not much to do, but still quite challenging. And a couple builds you can try. A lot of mechanics are kind of weird and don't really work properly or well or balanced. I was hoping in the end this game will have tons of polish and and great balance and good challenge, and it should be really fun. It's kind of grindy as well. It's not my typical roguelike. I generally don't like these styles of roguelike. But this game looks really nice. The interface is amazing. And the mechanics are, they need a lot of work, but it was pretty cool. It's fairly unforgiving. Like people have been saying this game is brutal, but once you get kind of the grasp on it, it's in its current state. It's not really that challenging if you got a good build going. I don't know. I've only tried like 2 builds, and I cleared all the content on my second character with permadeath, so it's like it wasn't that hard. It can be unforgiving. Like if you engage 2 enemies at once, you're probably just dead, or if you don't engage properly, you will probably die. So it's brutal in that sense. But once you get the hang of your character, figure out how to build it, you can kind of destroy the current content quite easily, and there isn't much to it. So hopefully that'll be tweaked, and I'm sure it will be to kind of like balance the experience. And yeah, it's awesome. Definitely worth a try in its current state, but also definitely worth waiting because it's got a long way to go. It was fun to check it out. But yeah, let's see what chat's saying. Slow Shred's alright. Early access. Yep. You like Infra Arcana? Yeah. Are new to the roguelike genre? Yeah, I think so. New to the roguelike genre. Like, this game is brutal. No, I've seen much brutaler. Rogue's Tales come to mind. Yeah, the Rogue's Tale in this game really kind of have the same type of I think they're both really the same type of game. Kind of like you have your character for a very, very long time. You grind it up to try to, min max everything, and there's not really like a time clock either, because like you just go back. But what's pretty cool about this game is I really like the how many ways there are to like become weak, I guess, in a sense, or could get hurt. Like when you get hurt, there's like a really interesting wound system. There's like you get intoxicated by trying to, like, if you chug a potion or something, you'll probably get some intoxication level will go up. There's a lot of cool little things that like I really like the injury system, and it's not even done yet. There's tons of work that needs to be done. You can get diseases and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty cool little game for sure. All right, can't really judge it yet because it's too early, but in its current state, it's all right. So next we got Rogue Empire. Where are you? There it is. So Rogue Empire, for the stream we tried the there's like a mode where okay. So Rogue Empire is kind of like a adventure RPG style, kind of reminiscent of Tome, I would say, and when you play campaign mode at least. So it's a pretty cool game. This is also another one that I would recommend for newer players. It plays really easy. The interface is nice, and it's not too brutal. Lots of difficulty levels you can choose from. Lots of different characters, but not too many to overwhelm you. It's about like 7 different classes, shops and stuff like that, and managing your gear and consumables and stuff like that. Not an overly difficult one. We were playing. There's also a challenge dungeon, which I was new to, where that one's more traditional roguelike. It's a high score chaser mode, in the sense where you just go deeper and deeper, and it gets harder and harder and harder. That was pretty cool. There's like a leaderboards for that too. That was pretty fun. I enjoyed doing that. Yeah, what else to say about this one? I really like our character, like how some of the characters look like. The game looks pretty nice. One thing I kind of don't like about this game is the sound effects kind of get annoying. They're just kind of ridiculous sound effects. And yeah, I like how the character looks. We're playing like a Naga hunter in this video, and we're basically a Naga with a gun, and it looks really funny. I always like it. But yeah, it's definitely a neat game. It was fun to revisit, especially trying the challenge dungeon for the first time. It was a different experience. That's not too much my typical style of roguelike, as far as at least the campaign. I don't really like long campaign style roguelikes typically. But this one surprised me, and I had with my first play way back, I didn't think I'd like this game at all, but I actually had quite a bit of fun with it. Beat it, beat it on the hardest difficulty with one character. Yeah, with one character. It was pretty tough, pretty scary, and challenging, and definitely need to be very, very careful in this game if you want to play on the hardest difficulty and not die, because it is permadeath. But yeah, I'd recommend this one, especially for newer players. It was fun to come back, and yeah, let's move along. Let's try to show a little more combat, because I was just talking with some shopkeeper. It's really choppy for some reason right now. Oh, I know why. It's because I have this open. There you go. Shooting the tiger. Alright. Let's move on. So next we have Dungeons of Dredmor. Okay, this is day 8. Why is it playing down there? Yeah. Okay. Alright, so this is Dungeons of Dredmor. Kind of a funny one. Snexy! Yeah, what's up, Cactus Cooler? Yes, Dungeons of Dredmor. This is actually kind of one of my first roguelikes. Maybe like 5th one or something like that. So when I first played it, I actually kind of liked it. Looking back on it and revisiting it, I actually really not a big fan of Dungeons of Dredmor. What I found really interesting about when I streamed this game is I had tons of people coming in and being like, "Oh, I love this game! Oh, I can't believe you're playing this! This is awesome!" There seems to be a really intense love for this game for some reason. I am not a fan of this game at all. I just feel like the dungeon floors are just enormous. In the beginning, everything the game feels pretty easy in the beginning, even on the hardest difficulty. Eventually, I'm sure it gets hard. I just never have the patience to finish a run because I think the dungeon floors are so big. There's tons of loot, and the crafting is hard to wrap your head around. There's just so much stuff. But I don't think I played when you have there's like a pocket dimension where you can just drop stuff and just organize all your stuff. But it was huge fan favorite for some reason. And but yeah, I don't like how this game looks. I don't like how this game sounds. It doesn't take itself seriously, so that's kind of like the best part of it. Is that like it's just kind of a game that just pop open, have some fun, do whatever, and don't take it too seriously. And it pokes fun at itself nonstop, which can get the humor can get a little annoying, honestly, just because it's too much of it. It's nice to see it once in a while, but it's like everywhere. But yeah, not a big fan of this one, but I honestly wouldn't recommend this to anybody, but a lot of people love it, so I don't know. Try it if you're feeling nostalgic, I guess. But it was an okay experience to come back. Mostly, like, I didn't really enjoy it, but I enjoyed the fact that other people were all hype about it and having fun watching it and hang it. So yeah, that was cool. That's the gist on Dungeons of Dredmor. Had to help wife pack car. This was the one that's created bus. It was nice. Yeah. Man versus game. How you found out about Dredmor? Oh, really? Never get into it either. Yep. All right. Next is day 9. Net hack. All right, the classic NetHack. So NetHack is another pretty old roguelike. It's been around for a very, very long time. one of my first ones, and this is one of the really really deep roguelikes. There's tons and tons of stuff in it, lots of weird mechanics that are pretty much impossible to learn on your own. It's definitely not my style of roguelike. I enjoyed it a lot when I started playing it, but I don't like the style of roguelike. It's kind of like a roguelike where if you have a wiki at your side, you're 1,000 times more powerful than you would be if you just played this blindly. It's not a pleasant experience to play blind. Well, it's okay. I used to play it blind. I was fun, and I was having fun with it. And then one day I took a sneak peek at behind the scenes and was just like, what? This game is an unbalanced mess. Just the crazy stuff you can do in this game is just like it's impressive, but I just don't enjoy this type of roguelike. But it's a classic and it's probably still really good. I just I found the controls awful for the most part. I'm eventually get used to it, but like a lot of these style of roguelikes, like the pickup button was at a really awkward position. It was the comma key, and considering how many items you pick up, it just drove me nuts to not have the comma key somewhere, or the pickup key somewhere more easily accessible for the way I play. Pretty much all modern games will have, at least key bindings, and the key bindings will make more sense than make more sense. But it's possible that like it's because they were either built around different keyboards or built around VI keys, which it's really hard to change into that style of how to place your hands on the keyboard. So that kind of got me annoyed. But I had fun coming back to this. Just played a barbarian and just punched my face into it, and we ended up not dying. Got somewhat into a run, but yeah, it's a classic. It's not my style of roguelike. It's too open worldy. I don't really like open worldy roguelikes. It's also extremely imbalanced and too goofy for my taste. But if you're looking to experiment and kind of up for it's very challenging. I've never beat it. I never bothered to try too much to beat it, but it's quite a challenging roguelike too, as far as I know, anyways. But yeah, that's NetHack. It was an okay experience coming to it, but I will definitely not play this one again. It's not my style of roguelike whatsoever, but it's beloved by many folks. Yeah, commas pickups just awkwardly placed. I've heard that there's commas on European keyboards sometimes, which would make perfect sense, unlike numlock keys, right? Which in that case, comma's perfect, but I don't know. For North American keyboards, the comma is just it's like super hard to access. So, and like not having the option to rebind your keys easily is something I don't quite understand. Why that doesn't exist for pretty much any game. Any modern game will have that, and I guess this game's too old and they never bothered to change that or to give the option to, or if rebinding your keys is possible, but it's like not easy to do. Not a fan of that. Anyways, that's NetHack. Next is Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. Soupy doopy doop boop boo doo. Alright. So Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. This is a game that I tried to get into many times and never really could get into it. But finally, we were quote unquote forced to, because I put it on my list of roguelikes to play this month. And this one's quite beloved in the roguelike community as well. And I always had a hard time getting into it, but finally this time I got into it and kind of enjoyed my little crawl inside Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. The biggest thing, believe it or not, is just this new interface that they have going on here in the bottom right. My camera's probably covering it. Yeah, this interface in the bottom right. The versions I played didn't have that, and so you have to, learn all the keyboard commands, but it's just having these little buttons here just to know what exists and what is important. Like, Like what I didn't like about the game is like, oh, you can train your weapons now, and the game never tells you to go check that out. Like when you level or when it's available to make your weapon skill a little better. Um, but with these buttons accessible to you, at least you can maybe you'll stumble into that screen and be like, okay, cool, let's start training these skills. So that's cool. And like just having your inventory like visually available to you like this is just really nice. It's like a really good change. So yeah, it was pretty brutal. Pretty brutal game. Gets like brutal pretty quickly. Kind of got into some well near inescapable deaths situations, but what's interesting is that probably a very very good player would have like gotten past these things, and me being a new player struggled, almost got through it, but did not quite survive the encounters. Um, but yeah, this is one I kind of wouldn't mind revisiting. It's playing like slow motion now. Kind of wouldn't mind revisiting. It was pretty fun. We were playing a gargoyle gladiator, which I don't think is a good character choice, but it was fun to just kind of roleplay as. I think the idea of a gargoyle gladiator is kind of cool. Yeah, tons of different races, tons of different classes. Definitely one that's worth checking out, I'd say. And yeah, one that I planned on maybe revisiting one day. I'm not sure. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Va pas en arrière, moi, j'ai dit, Dad. Ah, ouais, ouais. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So that's the CSS. So day 11, we actually missed day 11. Day 12 was Dungeon Man's. Let's go check that out. Dungeon Man's. Where are you? Ah, there it is. All right, Dungeon Man's. So Dungeon Man's is I'd say it's an ultra casual roguelike. Um, kind of gets a little Dungeons Dredmor style in the sense that. One second. All right. So Dungeon Man's was Dungeon Man's kind of like an ultra casual roguelike. Kind of like in the sense of Dungeon Dreadmore, it like pokes fun at itself a lot, and a couple classes different plays super easily. It has one of the mechanics that kind of annoy me in roguelikes, where it has a very high monster respawn rating. So you're fighting gazillions and upon gazillions of irrelevant enemies is something I don't really like about this game. Also, there's just not that many options on how to build your character. There's not that many options on how to build your character. As you can see here, there's a couple trees, and there's a couple ways to build it, but it doesn't vary that much. Just an ultra simple one if you're looking for just a casual dungeon crawling experience. This is, a decent one, or for very very new people who are very very new to the genre. It's pretty good. But overall, I wouldn't really recommend this one to a lot of folks. It was interesting to come back to it. I actually didn't remember it like almost at all, even though I did complete this game on stream. I barely remember it, but yeah. I mean, if for it plays super easily, the interface is really nice. The limited options is not necessarily a bad thing if you don't feel like being overwhelmed by choice. So there's because tons and tons of loot, which if you like sifting through your inventory and selling stuff to vendors, then this is definitely has a strong point for you. But it's not my style of roguelike in the sense that it's like an open world roguelike, which I typically don't like those styles too much. But yeah, that's Dungeon Man. There's not too much to say about this one. My revisit to it was pretty much how I expected. It was just a little too simplified for me. They made me laugh a couple times because of the humor involved in it. That was interesting, but yeah, that was Dungeon Mints. Like it's that's not much else to say about it. Let's move along. Move along. All right, next is Tangle Deep. Tangle Deep, Tangle Deep. Where's Tangle Deep? All right, so revisiting a Tangle Deep. So Tangle Deep is another roguelike in the style of SNES, kind of like One Way Heroics. The way it looks and plays. You can play this one with a controller, which is really cool. Again, it's very rare to have roguelikes that play well with a controller. This one plays pretty good with a controller. I didn't play that much with the controller with it, uh, but it was a little tough to customize. But eventually, if you once you customize everything and figure out how you want to use the controller, it works pretty well. So this one, there's like two modes to play it. There's like Shara's story, which is part of a DLC, and Amira's story, which is the original. So Shara's story, it's like there's no town to go to, so there's less managing of selling and buying and stuff like that. But this is a roguelike that again I'm not too fond of. It has that open world feel to it. Um, have a kind of a lot of issues with this one. Like, let's just talk about the main story one. We won't talk about the Shara one too much, even though that's the version I played for the showcase. But there's just like a lot of things in this game. Like, there's pets you can train and breed and feed. There's like a dream world. There's like this challenge world as well. And my biggest problem with it was that I was never ever under any threat of dying. Like, not even close. Never ever scared. So there's just no fear of ever dying, and you can grind like crazy. And I don't know if it's necessary to grind, so it's like I don't know. It just didn't. I just really did not enjoy this one. And sometimes the skills that you get kind of don't even work how you would think they would work, or that doesn't happen very often. That's happened to me. Apparently it was fixed, so that's good. But yeah, it plays very simple. It looks really nice, sounds nice, but it just takes way too long for it to get difficult. If it ever does, I assume it does eventually. But I got like a substantial amount of hours in this, and I've just never been under threat, which is not good for a roguelike. Death should be surrounding you around every corner, and I don't know. I found this one just too easy and too much stuff. Just the combination of too much stuff and not being challenged just made it pretty sloggy. And eventually, I'd probably end up dying and just be like, okay, why? What happened? I was just tired of grinding, kind of. So I don't know. It's not my style of roguelike, but if it looks pretty, it plays pretty, and if that's your thing, then definitely there are some people who enjoy it. But I was not a fan of this one. The revisit was how I expected. I already knew my opinion on it, and it didn't change. Tried the new story mode, and it still felt the same. Same kind of issues that it just never got challenging. despite it limiting your choice of how you build your character. That just just never under any threat of dying. So yeah, that was Tangle Deep. Not a big fan of that one. So let's move on. Tales of Majile, aka Tome. Let's do that one. Tome. There you go. How you change your class mid game? I mean, I didn't mind it. I kind of like the whole. You can. It's not really changing your class, but I always like that type of gameplay where you can customize your character by leveling a bit in this class, then leveling a bit in that one, and then kind of merging classes and kind of coming up with your own thing. I like that stuff, and it did that very well. Because you can merge 2 to 3 classes together, or even more, as much as you want, depending on how hard it is to grind. But I like it. But you can totally change your class, like re-roll your character completely. Well, yeah, there's a job scroll. It just changes your job. You wouldn't lose your previous class gains with that jobs change scroll. You could change his class just by talking to someone, but you still have what you've learned in the past. Anyways, let's not get into the mechanics right now. All right, so this is Tome Tales of Majile. So I played a bit of this in the past, a fair bit. Never beat it or anything. Haven't played it that much, but the revisit was pretty fun. The best things about this one is why this video is not playing. My God. Yeah. So Tales of Majile is another open world-ish style roguelike. Actually, it's a very open world, which again, it's a style of roguelike I don't like too much. Just being able to choose to go to which dungeon at which point. I remember that's something I didn't quite like about the game. It's just like enemies are super duper easy for a long time, and all of a sudden you go to an area where you think it's going to be the same thing, and you have no clue that it's supposed to be hard, and then something one-shots you or almost one-shots you. Like, oh, well, okay, that was fun. Your character's suddenly dead. So a lot of prerequisite knowledge is required if you want to succeed in this. That's knowing when you go to certain areas and how strong you should be to get certain areas, and should you grind, how much should you grind if you need to grind. And those are some of the things I don't like about that game, about Tome. But what I find amazing about Tome is the amount of different characters and classes and the complexity on how to build your character and your choice you can build your character is pretty awesome. Let's see if I can't find a screenshot of the character creation process or leveling. Trying to find that. Here you go. So this is my character at the moment, and there's quite a bit of choice of how to build your character, and the choices are very, very relevant. So you level up your stats and your classes, and there's category points and generic points and runes and all kinds of stuff. Pretty complex game. Definitely would never recommend this to a newer roguelike person. But someone who's familiar with the genre, I think this is a must play. It's really good. Even though I haven't played it too much, and it has certain features that I'm not too fond of, just the character creation and the character building is just really, really good. It's a bit of another thing I don't like too much about this as well is just the grinding and the shopping and the sifting through the gazillion amount of items that you have at your disposal. It does a pretty good job of managing that still with the auto sell options. Whenever you leave one area, it goes into, I forget what it's called, some sort of transmogrifier cube or something like that, and you can just on the spot sell your items, but you still need to look through them all. And if you're new to the game, then it's really hard to discern what's useful, what's good, what's better than previously. What items should you keep, things like that. yeah, so that's Tome. Pretty awesome experience. I don't know if I'll ever revisit it. I did really enjoy playing it. It's a little bit low on my priorities to revisit. Um, but it is one I would consider because it was fun, and I do love the character building in this. I think that's like one of its strengths, and it's amazing. Oh, there's also this I don't like about this game. Listen carefully. There's a bunch of infusions. I don't know if you guys can hear it. 1 second. Price 30. What's our gold? 30. Oh. You guys won't be able to hear it. This town. I don't know if all towns like that, but there's a dog. You'll hear a dog barking. It's so annoying. In this town, there's always like a dog barking. It's really annoying. I was hoping to catch it there because we're in the town, but looks like the audio is turned way down. Okay. Next up is Demon. Woof woof. Yeah, yeah. The UI is good in that. The controls are good. Yeah, yeah. And Tome is really good. I would definitely recommend that for experienced players to at least try. What did I say was next? Demon. Demon. All right. So Demon's a pretty unique one, and it's also a very not well known one. Kind of discovered it randomly, and the dev's pretty cool for this. But this is a monster collector roguelike, and it's I haven't played it for a long time. It was fun to come back to it. So the idea is you are a summoner, and you can have 3 demons out fighting with you. You don't control your demons directly, which is great because you don't want that type of cumbersome combat in a roguelike. And it takes a lot of ideas from other games that I'm not too familiar with, but it kind of like you can steal skills from your demons and teach it to yourself. You can steal skills from one demon and teach it to the other, and that like consumes the demon. You can fuse demons together to have special to change their traits, how you want to optimize it. So yeah, it's a very customizable game, very unique, very cool. Very cool to see this style of game in a roguelike format. Let's see if I can find a good combat here. There you go. There's a good combat here. Yeah, and the way you obtain demons is really cool. You activate a link with them, and each demon will have its own requirements on how you obtain it. Sometimes you just need to defeat it quickly. Sometimes you need to negotiate with it. Sometimes you need to keep it in sight for a couple turns, and it's really fast. So the way you obtain demons is really cool, and sometimes it's very dangerous to try to obtain demons, and sometimes the demons are like really, really powerful, but it's hard to get them, and you might end up just dying trying to get them. So it's pretty cool. There's a little bit of multiplayer stuff in this or online play, whereas sometimes you'll check corpses and corpses will resurrect as another player that died, so sometimes you'll end up fighting other players, which is pretty cool. But yeah, Demon is pretty cool. It's free to play. I would probably it's even easy to play, I'd say. It's so even for a newer roguelike player, I think it's definitely a good one to try. And experienced ones will still find that it's pretty deep in the way you can build your character. Don't know how challenging the game is. I didn't die playing this on stream for like not too long. They made it easier because before when you die, your HP goes 0, you just die. But now when your HP goes down, your max HP goes down. It takes a big chunk. So you're a little more tanky, but it's still pretty tough. I still ended up dying anyways to something pretty bursty. But so yeah, never beat this game even way back, I think, or have I? I'm not sure. But the game's changed a lot since then, so I don't even know how the game ends or whatnot. But I would recommend this one for sure. Interface is fantastic. It's constantly developing. It's free to play, and got a unique style to it. And yeah, it's great. I think Demon's fantastic. I'd love to see this game like more mainstreamed. I think it has the potential to attract a lot of people in the way, especially the whole monster collection thing. Like Pokemon and stuff like that. people love this type of stuff, and even myself, I'm attracted to the genre for sure. As far as revisiting this game, probably pretty low on my priority list because there's some couple of higher ones. But despite that, super fun, and I wouldn't mind replaying this for sure. My playing it on stream was great. It was great to replay this one, and I would definitely recommend this for pretty much anyone. We'll run a calculator too. Yeah. All right. Next is Jaunt Trooper. Excited to talk about this one. That was day 19 coming up here. Let's see. There you go. Jaunt Trooper. Look at this beauty. So this was a game that I've never heard of. I don't think almost nobody has ever heard of. Props to Nico Lizard for recommending this one. This is one of the recommendations, and I just found it really intriguing, just because of the history. So this game was created. It was initially created for the Macintosh in early 90s. So it's old. This we played a PC version, and we ran into like a really strange bug that we didn't know what was going on. So basically, we'd be picking up an item, and that item would slowly and secretly kill us. So it was not pleasant. So if you do watch this video, do keep that in mind. That the beginning, I would skip the beginning, because we're just dying and we don't understand why. We think the game's just super hardcore because we're dying to just randomness. But yeah, once we figured out that bug, it was just don't touch that item. The game actually got quite interesting, and we progressed pretty far into the game. There's a lot of really cool mechanics. There's like your typical unidentified potions. There's also strange devices, so they're like unidentified objects, and they all do pretty interesting stuff. So one pretty notable thing that happened was I blindly used an item, and I was like, okay, this doesn't do anything. It didn't tell me what's happening and what's going on. So I just continued progressing the dungeon, and there are like little buildings you can go in. So I got to a bank, and then I was interacting with the bank, and all of a sudden an explosion occurs, and I almost die, and the bank blows up. So the unknown device was like a time bomb. I assume. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It was a time bomb, and way later on, a random explosion occurs and punished me pretty hard. And I found that was pretty cool interaction for such an old game. And, it has a lot of great traditional mechanics like attrition. Like bullets are very hard to come across. Unique items, it was pretty cool. It has a lot of neat features, and this is one I actually kind of want to revisit. Kind of want to replay this one, try to beat it, and just say I did, and it looks pretty good. Like, you look at the interface, it's pretty good. I remember there was a few clumsy things, but overall, the interface was pretty good. Yeah, believe it or not, I would actually recommend trying this game. It was quite fun. Definitely worth trying. And it's got a sci-fi feel to it, so sci-fi roguelikes are quite rare. It was a pretty good variety of enemies. Yeah, this was actually pretty fun. I'll probably come back to it at some point. I'm really intrigued about this game, and I had quite a bit of fun with it. And I'm curious how challenging it is, how it ends, what kind of stuff you get, how long it is, stuff like that. But pretty cool. It was a fun experience and a funny one, and an enjoyable one. And I hope to stream it again. Pretty high priority on my replay list, which I did not expect, especially because of that strange bug when we first started playing it, and just kind of dying without ever knowing why, which is not pleasant. All right, next up we got Rogue's Tale. Rogue's Tale. So this is another game we're a little lucky that during the month of February they released a DLC for this. I'm gonna take a break here. I'm gonna take a drink of water here. Rogue's Tale. So I played this one quite a bit way back. Um, this is a style of roguelike that I wouldn't think I would enjoy, but I kind of like this one quite a bit. It's got a lot of unique factors that usually I wouldn't be a fan of, but I don't know, it just works really well. So they also revamped the look of this game probably like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, something like that. And I haven't touched this game for a long time. But so the game looks very different. So they upped the graphics. Well, up the graphics. They changed a lot of the graphics things. It looks kind of more sleek, more cut. I don't even know if it looks that much better. Honestly, it just looks different. Um, but this game is like brutal for sure. When you first start playing this, you'll die like crazy. And this game has meta progression, but the meta progression is done quite well, quite interesting. Quite an interesting fashion where like you have to complete challenges or to so that next time your next run you'll start with some sort of small bonus. Small bonus. Sometimes they're big. So that's usually a mechanic that most people aren't a fan of when it comes to roguelikes. I'm usually kind of okay with it overall, but this one does a really good job with it. The challenges add a lot of spice to the game and gives you a goal every time you do a run to be like, okay, I want to do this challenge here and hopefully complete it so that my next run will be a little easier, a little stronger. And even when you do get these meta bonuses, the game is still crazily brutal and you'll die really easy. The game's very grindy. Lots of hauling loot around and selling to the shop is you can't sell a lot of things to the shop. The way it works is like you can only sell identified items to the shop, like even food and rocks, even for some strange reason. So you're gonna spend a lot of time identifying items and selling them, and lugging around tons of loot, trying to maximize your gold income because gold is super duper relevant, which is awesome. A lot of games in the early kind of never really figured out what they're doing with their economy of their game, so that gold is very necessary in the beginning, but eventually it just has no value. This game, that eventuality ceiling is extremely high, so gold is valuable for very long time. Like I said, it's pretty grindy. Let's try to find find some combat here. But yeah, new DLC came out with this. Don't know how much it changed, but even without the DLC, they added a lot of enemies over time. So this game still gets attention. It's a pretty old game, but I would not recommend this for a new player. It's just really brutal and difficult. But the interface is great. The controls are fantastic, and the challenge is real. Definitely recommend this one for like anyone who's just not brand new to the genre. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, that's Rogue's Tale. Let's see if we can find a little combat before we call it here. Fighting a crab doesn't count. Oh, there I died. There you go. Let's watch me die. There. You put the sound on. How do you tame bears again? Oh yeah, it's a polymorph wand. We could YOLO a wand on him. So here's us trying to deal with the bear. So you'll see how brutal. We're at full health. We're buffed up a little. We have a shield even. We're kind of like, we're fine.
I don't think one of shocking is any good.
Well, we know we're in trouble, but
I'm pretty sure we just melee hit harder. All right, let's go. We still have our shield up, which is good. I don't know if we're gonna get through this, but we're certainly gonna try. Man, Divine Shield seems really strong. He's starting to beat us up. Do we have any tricks up our sleeve? We have none.
Come on, hurry up and die. I'm gonna go to the next one. No. See you, Zedivix. Thanks for hanging, bud.
Other than Wand of Shocking. Oh no, we missed. Come on, hit him.
Yeah, trying to take down this bear.
Fear.
And we got splatted.
Bears fear you? Boo.
Didn't know those bears can fear, and they end up just getting insta-gib to fear. So yeah, that game's pretty brutal. Sometimes you get insta-gib by a trap even. Like, there's no mercy in that game. But I love it. It's great. It's don't know, it's not super high on my revisit, but I would like to revisit and try to complete this one. It's very challenging. There's tons of boss fights, and there's tons of, like, you can make your own challenges. Well, not really make your own challenges, but there's challenges in the game you can try to complete, and they're all extremely difficult. So tons and tons of content in that game, and challenges are kind of its strengths. All right, so that's Rogue's Tale. Next is Golden Crone Hotel. Stream still looks good, yeah. All right, Golden Crone Hotel. So Golden Crone Hotel is a pretty cool roguelike where you play as a vampire. So you enter this castle, and you are a vampire. So this roguelike has tons of really unique mechanics going for it. So there's like sunlight, and there's a sunlight and time. It's all very relevant. So first you start off, and most of the time you'll start off in your human form, and then you can switch into, eventually you'll turn back into a vampire. And as a vampire, like, you don't heal naturally. Sunlight will hurt you, but you can drink the blood of your enemies. Like, there's moonlight in this game too, where it'll affect certain things and turn them into werewolves. Pretty cool game. Awesome interface. Plays very easily. A very easy to understand potion system. Yeah, plays super well. I recommend this one to almost anyone who's new to the genre and wants to, play an easy to play roguelike. It is challenging still, especially if you're not too familiar with the genre. It's not ultra challenging, but it's up there. You'll die quite a bit when you first start playing, or get like a bad run, a bad start, whatever. Once you're off the ground with this game, it kind of gets a little easier, but the bosses will still, you'll have to, they might surprise you and slam you. So yeah, now in this video you're seeing right now, we actually turn into a bat just to escape these hordes of vampires that are a little too hot for us to handle. There's different difficulty levels for this game: easy, normal, and despair. So the challenge level is, can vary. But this is one of the best new player roguelikes for sure. Tons of good things going for it. The revisit was fun. Yeah. Not a game I'll be revisiting probably, because I feel like I've mostly finished, except for speedrunning. I actually do speedrun this game for funsies, and I did have the world record, but actually 2 or 3 hours ago from making this video, someone stole it from me, so we'll see if we can't get it back. I do have fun speedrunning this game. It's actually pretty fun to speedrun, and yeah, if you're interested in seeing a speedrun video, just check the YouTube and dig a little, and you should find a vid or two, or on speedrun.com is also there. But yeah, that's Golden Crone Hotel. Pretty cool one. All right, Doom Roguelike is up next. Which one's up here? Doom URL. All right. There you go. Doom Roguelike. So this one also was a roguelike that one of the first roguelikes I actually played, and it was really cool when I first played it, for sure. It was, not being familiar with the genre at all, and just seeing just the idea of having a turn-based Doom game is pretty cool. So this is obviously based on Doom, and my revisit of it was surprisingly fun. Um, yeah, my revisit of it was surprisingly fun. I thought it was a little more complex than I remember it. It's like super simple, but like to play and to understand. There's no crazy concepts, but there's still we ran into some pretty interesting weapons and items, and you can there isn't great variety in how to build your character, but there is some, and it's pretty relevant. So that's pretty cool, but it plays super easy. This is probably how you would define a coffee break style roguelike. You can stop this game whenever and kind of get back into it pretty easily. Um, and yeah, it was really fun. I think I may have actually beaten it when I was super young, but um, maybe not on the difficulty that I was playing on. It was fairly challenging for sure. I was dying quite a bit trying to do this like challenge area in the early game, and yeah, there's not too much tactical choice to do in combat, but there are definitely some tactical choices you need to do, and you can optimize how you play for sure. But there's not great optimization as far as what you can do. It's basically point your gun at someone and shoot them for the most part. If you just do that strategy, you'll get pretty far, which is cool, So if you don't want to think too hard but still play a roguelike with a certain amount of depth, definitely a good one. Probably one of the better ones to play for a new player getting into the genre. Just because of how easy it is to play and how easy it is to manage. The interface is great. Never really had a hard time managing stuff as far as inventory goes and attacking and whatnot. Just maybe a few little things, actually. I don't remember what, but overall, yeah, great UI. Looks great, sounds great. Well, except the music. The music's pretty annoying. But, yeah. Doom roguelike. Pretty cool. There's also a remake of this game called Jupiter Hell. I haven't tried that one yet, but it's the same creator, I believe, and kind of like I'm assuming they're going for the same type of idea of like quick, easy to play roguelike, and not too complex, but like tons of items and tons of different enemies and whatnot. But a lot of people ask me about Jupiter Hell, and one day maybe we'll stream it, but haven't played it yet. So that's Doom RL, Doom roguelike. Next is Fatal Labyrinth. That was kind of a funny stream. Fatal Labyrinth. Fatal indeed. Fatal to my stream. Alright. So Fatal Labyrinth was yet another one of my very first roguelikes. Sure, let's show like the last battle, I guess. So this is a roguelike that's surprisingly on the... Actually, you know what? I don't want to... Let's find a better clip here. Whatever. This will do. Yeah, it's one of the first roguelike I played. I didn't even know what a roguelike was, I think, when I played this game. But I was immediately intrigued by just what this game was all about. It's a roguelike on the... Sega Genesis, of all things, probably one of the only ones, and it's not very good, honestly. It was great, nostalgia feeling coming back to it, but it's very, very, very simple. Controls are mediocre. Like navigating your menu and your items is kind of atrocious. It's pretty easy overall. We beat it on our first try, coming back to it after not touching it forever. But despite that, it's got interesting mechanics. Well, actually, not really. It doesn't have that many. It's super simple. But overall, it's not really worth playing except for nostalgia purposes, or it also has the music is kind of funny. It just has the music's like a super short loop. It gets pretty annoying pretty quickly. But it was fun to come play it, show it off for the stream, and actually get a win in it, which is cool. But the worst part of it is mostly like the inventory management is very, very sluggish and slow. But yeah, take a look if you're feeling nostalgic and want to play a roguelike on a console. But I wouldn't recommend it if otherwise. All right, next is Ancient Domains of Mystery. Day 24. Oh, this is another one, a very, very popular roguelike, traditional roguelike. That. All right, let me bring it up first of all. All right. Lord Master. Well, that was not my class. That was my level, actually. But all right. So, Ancient Domains, a mystery, pretty well-known traditional style roguelike. It's been around for a long time. Um, Tons of classes to pick. It's got a pretty nice tile set. It looks pretty nice. This is the tile set here. Yeah, the interface looks pretty good. Again, this is another one we're picking up as comma, which is driving me nuts. And not being able to recustomize your keybinds was pretty frustrating. I had a decent tutorial. It had its faults, but also I did like how you could examine everything, and everything had quite a bit of flavor text to it. I like that quite a bit. Lots of different classes and races to pick. I don't know how much they differ from each other. Um, Even though there's like a gazillion of them, I got a feeling that they don't differ that much, other than a few little things here and there. But not too familiar with this one, and it's definitely not my style of roguelike. It's got the open world style roguelike. I don't really like open world style roguelikes too much usually. This one has it. It's not as it seems like it's not as goofy as NetHack, which I enjoyed that feature. Doesn't have like the really ridiculous interactions. It does have a lot of uh interesting interactions despite that. And one thing that I just cannot play this is it has a monster respawn rate that's just really high, and you're just fighting tons of monsters with that just feel irrelevant. You're just killing them like super easy, and you just kind of I was just getting sick of bumping into these enemies. So not a really good experience for me. Not a roguelike I enjoy, but I could see why people like it. Um, but I don't really know enough about it to go beyond that. But yeah, just the respawning enemies was too much for me. It just I did, and how the fact that the enemies are like quite easy in this part of the game. So easy plus respawning enemies that just don't stop just isn't a good combination. I'd rather have, less enemies but more notable ones. Kind of like I felt like Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup kind of showed that a little. Like they didn't have respawning enemies, and they weren't. And right at the beginning, they're very very easy, but it quickly became when you saw an enemy, you had to check it out and try to figure out how dangerous it actually was. But this one is just way too many enemies and way too irrelevant enemies. Really, really not a style that I enjoyed. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'll be touching this one again. The interface wasn't that great. The user interface was pretty. It wasn't. There's a lot of things that I did not like about the user interface. Um, but it looks nice, and apparently they're working a sequel. Maybe we'll check that one out. But a lot of people love this one, and definitely not for me. And I would not recommend it because I don't really know enough about it, and the things that I know about it, I just don't like. So that's Adom. Shiren the Wanderer. Alright, Shiren the Wanderer is next. Where are you? There you are. Okay. Shiren the Wanderer. Shiren the Wanderer is a roguelike heavily inspired by the original Rogue. And it's on the Super Nintendo. It is one of my favorites. It's super good. Not too well known, especially in North America. I think this version that you're seeing right now did not come out in North America. It also has the best music, the best level up music ever. when you level up, there's a pretty awesome. Actually, I just saw it in the video. There's a pretty cool little tune that plays. But yeah, this roguelike's so awesome. It plays perfectly with the controller, which is really great. So the interface is fantastic. So I think the best game to compare this to would be Fatal Labyrinth as to how to like make a good roguelike on the console and how to make one that's not great. So this game, when you first play it, there's like an easier roguelike dungeon, and then that you play through, and then there's a couple challenge dungeons, and then there's this dungeon here, which is called the 99 floor dungeon. And this 99 floor dungeon, I feel, is like kind of like the typical roguelike experience that you're expecting. So if you do try this game, don't be too set back by playing. When you first play it, you might be like, wait, what's going on? This is like it has kind of like a tutorial feel to it, but you won't know you're in a tutorial. Eventually, it takes a long time to unlock this 99 floor dungeon, which is kind of a shame. It'd be cool if there's a way to just kind of unlock it right away for people who just want to get right into the 99 floor dungeon experience. But despite that, there's lots of unique mechanics to it. It's very heavily inspired by the original Rogue in the sense that like you have to ID everything. And yeah, the game's pretty brutal sometimes. It has it can do some pretty mean stuff to you. But yeah, definitely try this one. I would highly recommend it for anybody, whether experienced roguelikers or new people new to the genre. New to the genre is good too because it plays with the controller, and the controls are really really good. Once you go through the tutorial and it explains to you the little knickknacks, but pretty awesome game. Highly recommend Shire in the Wander. It's one of my favorites. It's super fun to come back to and play. All right. Near the end, day 26, we have Door in the Woods. Door in the Woods, Door in the Woods. All right, Door in the Woods. This is a very, very unique roguelike. First thing you'll notice is kind of how it looks. It's kind of got like the really, really old school ASCII look to it, but it has a bit of a 3D feel to it when you look at the walls and the trees and whatnot. So this is a survival horror like roguelike, is how I would describe it. It's pretty damn brutal. There's like this game is just made to kill you, and dying is a big part of the game. It's got some pretty interesting mechanics when it comes to like progressing in the game. There's like health, stamina, and sanity. So the way sanity works is you'll gather something called experiences, and with experiences you can unlock new scenarios and new classes. And if you die with no sanity left, you'll actually lose all the experiences gained for the current run and previously. So it's pretty interesting mechanic, very unique. And everything is really hard to kill in this game for the most part, especially in the early game. Like you can't 1v1 like anything right at the beginning, pretty much. So a lot of like running around, avoiding enemies, and it's kind of creepy if you allow the imagination to get the best of you. If you're a very imaginative person, this game will creep you out for sure. It creeped me out quite a bit, and very unique roguelike, and it's up there in one of my favorites. Doesn't have great replayability. Despite that, its uniqueness and style and gameplay and the challenge level is very high. Probably wouldn't recommend this to someone new to the genre, but someone who's familiar with it and looking for a very different experience. This is definitely one worth trying. Pretty cool. Not sure what else I could talk about this one, but that's the gist of it. This game is called Door in the Woods. You can get it on Steam for a fair price. Probably $12 or something like that. And my revisit of it was pretty fun. There was some new scenarios I had never seen yet, and there's a final scenario. So I'm assuming, I don't think this game's going to get modified much anymore. It was, since release, it released this year, so it's brand new. Not 2020, but 2019. So this game has, probably won't get touched too much because they called it the final scenario. But who knows? That was something that was pretty cool. Is that there's a lot of options for this game to continue growing, because there's tons of different scenarios. Like this one, you start in a village. There's the other one where you're in a forest and you're being stalked by wolves, and there's another one where your wife is sick and you need to bring her food, meat specifically, because she's turning into something. So having the option like that, seeing like different type of scenarios kind of like show up on the scene would definitely extend the life of this game greatly. But even as it currently stands, it's well worth the money, and you'll find tons of fun with this game. And just the atmosphere is just fantastic in this game. It's cool to be creeped out by something that looks this graphically simple. It does a great job for creating environment and challenge. But yeah, great game. Highly recommend it. That's Door in the Woods. The Ground Gives Way is next. All right, The Ground Gives Way. This game was a shot in the dark, kind of. I didn't know much about it, and every time I asked someone to be like, I've had people recommend it, and me like, asking them, why do you want me to recommend it? And they just don't answer me, or they don't give me a great answer as to why this game is good or not. But this is The Ground Gives Way. It was awesome. This game's fantastic. First time playing it. Not very well known. Free to play. This was, I think, originally created for a 7-day roguelike project. It's kind of like a 7 days of roguelike is like an event where people try to create a game within 7 days, a roguelike within 7 days, and share. And a lot of games have like spawned off of that, and this was one of them. Yeah, it was really cool, very unforgiving, very unique mechanics. Yeah, what can I say? Controls were fantastic. There was a very, very long tutorial. That it wasn't an optional tutorial that went into just the right amount of detail on all the features. So once I started my first run, I felt pretty prepared, and the controls are really, really good. The way the information is displayed is fantastic. This felt very similar to Brogue to me. The way it plays and the way you build your character, or can build your character. Very, very cool. This is very high on my list of games that I want to revisit. Definitely want to try to get a win in this one. It was super fun, and I would highly recommend this one. Free to play. Check it out. And yeah. I can't even think of what I did not like about this game. A tile set would be nice. I don't know if one exists. Be good for streaming purposes. But despite that, the ASCII was fantastic. I was able to easily discern what's going on and see everything. Like almost everything is well explained. There are a few question marks here and there, but overall, pretty awesome game. Lots of different ways to play it. Loot felt very, very randomized and exciting. Interactions with shopkeepers as well, but pretty sick game. I'm highly recommend this one. I'm eager to play it again. And that is The Ground Gives Way. All right, two left. Day 27. 7 days of roguelike is going on now. Oh, is it? I knew it was soon. I never watched it or looked into it. Like, if you're not a dev, I think you're a little less interested in it. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's something I should look into. All right. Day 28. Pit board game. So, there's actually a board game based on Sword of the Stars, The Pit. So I got a couple friends together and streamed the Pit board game. Pit board game is kind of awesome. You and 3 friends jump into the facility and need to go fight your way through monsters, enter rooms, roll some dice, kill some monsters, get some loot, possibly die. It's pretty difficult, very strategic, and super fun. And it's a roguelike. It simulates the roguelike experience very, very well. Never seen a board game too much like this. I'm not really into the board game scene, but I have never seen any game like this, and I play this once in a while with some friends, and it's always a blast. Biggest downside is that it's actually super long. Like, there's 5 floors to this, and I've only I've won once or twice, and it's like 12 hours of gameplay at least. Like, it's long, like depending who you're playing with and how long it takes, and so getting a group of friends together to play this and to dedicate that much time is difficult, but well worth it. It's great. I love it. Highly recommend it. Anyone into the board game scene, but if you're not willing to commit that much time to it, and not only commit that much time to it, but commit that much time with 3 other people, is challenging to say the least. But I would say well worth it. It was tons of fun. I always enjoyed playing this, and the tabletop simulator is one hell of an awesome software. If you don't have tabletop simulator, definitely worth checking out. Play getting your friend and playing your favorite board game together or anything. It's a really good piece of software. Yeah, not much to say beyond that. It's fun. Try it out. I don't know if the physical version of this exists. I know like there are physical versions because the developers have it, but I don't know if it's available to the market yet. I don't think it is, but it does exist out there. All right. And finally, we have today, day 29, leap year, only every 4 years. Let's just find some random pit footage. There you go. Oh, what? Sure. Alright, Sword of the Stars, The Pit. Basically, the game that made my stream as popular as it is. This game was pretty well known because a few big boy streamers were playing this for a somewhat brief period of time, and a lot of people did enjoy this one. I don't know what to say about this. Probably everyone here knows it. It's a pretty awesome roguelike that follows the original Rogue. Follows the original Rogue recipe. It's not the word I'm looking for, but sure. Formula, yeah. The original Rogue formula very closely. It's quite brutal depending on what difficulty you play on, especially. You're always running out of something, whether it be food, ammo, armor, health. Yeah, there's lots of stuff to manage. There's spells. There's psionic abilities in this as well. Let's try to fast forward somewhere with a little more action. Lots of inventory management, crafting. Yeah, all the good stuff. And it's just simple. Go to floor 1, get to floor 40, which is a little long. I think they made it. They added 10 floors at some point during an expansion, which I think they made it a little too long. I think 5 floors would suffice. One of the downsides of the game, it's a little too long when it comes to completing a run. But despite that, it can be pretty hype all the way through, depending on which character you're playing. Lots of different classes. Not much variety as far as how you build your character. It's mostly all about the items that you find and and maximizing the use of those items, and not dying. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about the pit. Talked about it so much that not much else to say. It's definitely one of my favorites, top 3 probably. So I highly recommend it. Looks great, plays great. Yeah, it's one of the best looking roguelikes, honestly. I feel like I'm not sure. Like, I feel like this game kind of didn't get enough attention from like the more serious roguelike players. I'm not sure why. Like, some people seem to think it's like not a true roguelike sometimes, which boggles my mind. Yeah, definitely recommend this one. It's one of the best ones out there for pretty much any player, and hopefully we'll get a sequel one day. And that's it. So that was 29 days of roguelikes. So this pretty much signifies the end of the event. It was quite fun doing this, quite challenging for me. I'm losing my voice. It's the meta progression. Yeah, there isn't. I mean, there isn't really meta progression in this. It's super minor. The meta progression in this, unless you use the blue room. Obviously, that's the thing, right? You just pretend the blue rooms don't exist. I think the blue rooms, it's great that they exist, but they should have designed it a little differently. Mostly just differentiate between a blue room run and a non-blue room run via achievements or something like that. But yeah, and I think saying that unlocking the recipes is also meta progression, but it's like whatever. I don't. It's kind of whatever. Like I don't know. To me, it's kind of like knowledge, and it's fun meta progression, and it's not like you can't win a run from scratch with only a few recipes on the easier difficulties. It's definitely very, very feasible. Obviously, you can't win a hard run without unlocking the recipes, but I mean that's why you learn and progress. But yeah. Yeah, so that's the end of this. So yeah, probably gonna take a break from streaming for a bit. I actually have something coming up. I'll be disappearing for a few days, I think. A few weeks, maybe. I'm not sure. But it's been fun. I think I'm gonna end my stream here simultaneously. 29 days. We only missed a few days. 4 days, I guess. Yeah. But, yeah. I'll just chill for a bit. Might as well. Let's have the video playing in the background. Well, I won't end my stream just yet. Let's catch up with what you guys are saying, because I have been kind of ignoring chat while doing this. I'm not sure if I might throw this up on YouTube. Probably. I don't know if I'm going to... should probably cut something more official, but I don't know. Bum, 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 bum. So, I don't know. What about you guys? What was your favorite game to see, or interesting games? Or let's hear some feedback from you guys about the event, and I'd love to talk about it with you guys and with you folks, and let me know which games you liked, which ones you didn't. If you discovered something new, I'd love to hear if someone discovered new and tried something new based on my event. Boom, 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 boom. Just catching up on chat. Reap the Dungeon. Why do I feel like someone else has talked about that recently? With the letter P as well. Yeah, P is pretty damn awkward. You can pick up items with the letter P as well in ADOM. Yeah, that's just as awkward as comma for me. Calm down, Nightbot. Yeah. Nightbot's fucking annoying. I don't know what the hell's going on with it. Luke with short hair. Blasphemy. Yeah. Don't dig the Infinity game. It doesn't even run on my computer. I used to be able to run it, but now I don't know what's going on. But I load Pit Infinity and the intro is all freaking choppy as hell. I think it's because I can't change my. I can't modify. I can't even get to the main screen to modify it, and I'm just like, ugh, whatever. Potato can't run it or whatever. Gonna cool Heterodyne. Been a while since I've seen ya. Yeah, check it out. If anyone wants to check out this is all up on YouTube. All these, every single one of these 29 days of roguelikes is up on YouTube. So if you want to check out an old game and get the gist of it, and go ahead and look back. Pit 2. Yeah, we've seen some random screenshots of Pit 2 as well. It kind of looked like XCOM, sadly. Yeah, I don't know but yeah, Pit 2 has always been on their mind. Don't know what the progress is, but yeah. But we've seen screenshots of Pit 2. It looks and they kind of use the same, like the Pit 2 screenshots kind of look like Pit Infinity as far as like the graphics used. You can see a moon bear, and it's the same moon bear in Pit Infinity as the one they were using in Pit 2. XCOM hater. I don't hate XCOM. Played a lot of XCOM. The original and the remake. Do 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 do. Yeah, I haven't heard from the folks in Kerberos for a long time, I feel like. I haven't really reached out to them too much either, but I'm just kind of watching this this Hyver run. This Hyver run is freaking sick. This insane Hyver run is probably like one of the most interesting runs I've done, and challenging as well. It was one hell of a ride. Especially the end. The last floor is just hilarious. Hilarious. Alright. Let's leave it there. See if I can't find someone to host here for you. I am out of breath. We can host Tonehack. Oh, I almost never host him. Yeah, we'll host Tonehack. He's playing some NetHack. Recently stole my Golden Crown Hotel speedrun record. I'm curious how he done it. Here comes Tonehack. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to follow if you haven't already. See you next time.